Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the New York City School Safety Coalition Public Safety and School Safety Town Hall meeting. My name is Mona Davids. I am a member of the NYC School Safety Coalition, and I again would like to thank you for joining us here this evening for this very, very important town hall. I am a public school parent. I have actually her birthday is tomorrow. My daughter, Maimuna Davids, is turning 23 years old. She attended, thank you. She attended New York City public schools. She's a public school graduate. She attended a specialized high school. She graduated last May. I have my son, my 13-year-old, who is now in 7th grade, and I'm getting ready to go through that immensely stressful process of high school applications very soon. And of course, possibly applying to specialized high schools for my son as well. So that's just to give you a little bit about myself. In addition to that, I've been an education advocate for many years now, over a decade. I am the founder of the New York City Parents Union. We were founded over 10 years ago. Our focus is litigation and legislation, LNL. So we focus on state education law, reforming those laws, empowering parents, making sure that parents have a seat at the education policy table. Then in addition to that, I'm very proud to say there is no other parent organization in New York City that is more litigious than we are. And we've had quite a few victories when it comes to suing the Department of Education. But this public safety and school safety town hall that we've organized with other parents and other organizations is very, very important right now. It's very, very critical. Public safety and school safety are connected. They intersect. We cannot separate the two. And most importantly, when it comes to school safety, our children definitely cannot learn in an unsafe environment. And right now, our communities are under siege due to rampant gun violence, due to lawlessness, due to crime. And it's about time that we as parents, we as community members, we as the great melting pot that makes up New York City, that our voices be heard. With that said, I'm going to start the introductions of our initial 4 speakers. 2 of them will come on, but we'll get started right now with Mr. Phil Wong. If you could please take 2 minutes and introduce yourself, and then followed then by Ms. Quyan Simpkins.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, Mona?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Hello. Good evening, students, parents, teachers, and community activists. My name is Phil Wong. I'm the president of Community Education Council 24. I'm also the president of Chinese American Citizens Alliance of Greater New York. I've been involved with the community school board since 2014. All 3 of my daughters attended New York City public schools and graduated from them, proud graduates. I myself attended elementary and high schools, junior high schools in District 24. Proud graduate, and we are here to discuss the imminent dangers of budget cuts. Of potentially removing school safety agents from our public schools. And sadly, and I've been making phone calls to all these city council members, so many of them either don't have kids at all, or never married, or have kids, but they don't go to public schools. So when I explain to them my concerns, quite often I get like blank looks, or they're trying to understand me because they've just never gone through the public school systems. And then I would like to urge this conversation to focus on calling your elected officials about school safety, and maybe later at the Q&A session we can hear from parents their concerns or their experience on school safety. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And our next speaker is Ms. Quyanne Simpkins. Ms. Simpkins, if you could please take 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Hello, good night, good evening, happy Thursday. Hey, Phil, how are you?
Hi.
Nice to see you again. Hey, Mona. Everybody, good night, welcome. My name is Quyanne Simpkins. I am a school safety agent as well as a parent. I'm a product of the New York City public school system from elementary all the way through CUNY. I have children. I've been a parent for over 30 years. My parents attended public schools. I've been an agent for almost 16 years. I've been in elementary schools. I've also done conjunction pre-K through 8. I've been in standalone junior high schools. I've also done high school, impact high school, and I spent 7 years in District 75, which services special needs children, emotional, social services, as well as children who have disabilities. And I'm just basically trying to bring awareness, bring light, bring education to the job that school safety does, how vital it is to the city of New York. You know, the certifications and the things that we have, what we are equipped to do is not just what most people believe. They have this idea, you know, this misconception that all agents do is sit at a desk all day and sign people in, when there's so much more to school safety that meets the eye. So I'm here, I'm willing to speak to people, get questions, get feedback, but this is all basically to show the importance and the need of school safety.
Thank you, Quyanne. I see that our other guest speaker, Sadio Yaya Barry, is here. I know he's in transit, so Sadio, can you hear us? I understand your camera would be off, but can you speak?
Yes, I do hear you.
Okay, if you could please take 2 minutes to just introduce yourself.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry, first of all, the area where I am is not professional appropriate for me. I would like to apologize for that, but I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Sadio Yaya Bari. I'm the president of the Senegalese Association of America. As a lead, also, I'm a parent of 4 children in New York City. That I have my daughter and my son going to the public school here in New York. So that's the reason why I am very involved when it comes to public safety and also when it comes to school safety agents. First of all, I would like to start for the school safety agent, the importance and the meaning that they have for the parents, for the community, for the city is to protect our children, to provide safety to our children. What we know as parents, the meaning of the children is our future generation, to lead the country, to lead the city, to lead everything. That means I'm not compromised for anybody or from anything to suspend or to disrespect the school safety agent in the school, because it's not even the safety and the protection, but what they provide for the school, even the teachers, the principal, they do recognize what they're doing is a very, very, very good job. Just recently, we do see in Brooklyn, a child has been stood in front of a child school. That's why, because of that school doesn't provide any school safety agent. If they have a school safety agent in that school, maybe the school safety can help and avoid that tragedy. So that's why we need to join our force, our energy to work together to protect, to help, to support the school safety agent. Now, when it comes to the public safety, it is a national issue. Gun violence, we see every day. Whenever they have events, when the gun violence, people carry them like they get their food or their clothes, they're abusing, they're using, killing people around. So those things need to talk. Those things need to put on the table. We take action. It's not only talking for years, running behind those politicians who run for position, and when they get what they want, they're not gonna work for the community, for the neighbors. I think those issues must be very, very talk about it. Mona, thank you everybody, and thank you for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadio. And last but never least, our final main speaker is Marvella Glenn. Marvella, if you could please take 2 minutes to introduce yourself. You are on mute.
Okay, there I go. Technical difficulties. Hi, I'm Marvella Glenn. I've been with school safety for 15 years. Didn't think I would make it, but being there as long as I've been, I've gained a passion to protect the kids, and I grew a tremendous love for the kids. So I'm sucked in. So anything that happens with the kids, it happens to me. And it's very disturbing just seeing what's going on in the political world with our kids. And I notice a lot of people speak freely about our kids, but they really don't mean it. They really don't mean it. So we're here trying to bring awareness to parents and educators, what's really going on in the school safety system. So there we go. Let's move. Let's go with some questions.
Okay. Thank you, Marvella. So, so we're going to get started. So, as you know, this is a public safety and school safety virtual town hall. And when we think public safety, the reason why public safety comes first, and then of course school safety, is because if our communities are safe, if our families are not safe, if we're being attacked in the street, if we have rampant gun violence and children being shot in the street, if we have anti-Asian hate crimes where it's not even safe to walk down the street anymore, that is a problem. So for us at this, at the NYC School Safety Coalition, while we understand, yes, 100% our school safety agents must remain in our schools under the purview of the NYPD. They are civilians, they are unarmed, and they are there to protect our children. That is great. But as Sadio Barry mentioned a few weeks ago, a young man by the name of Devontae Lewis was shot in front of his charter school. His charter school is in a private building. It is not co-located in the DOE building. That's why that school did not have any school safety agents. But this young man was shot in the stomach at 2:45 p.m., broad daylight, at dismissal, in front of all of the other children, in front of the parents, in front of the teachers. That, yes, it's a school safety issue, but first and foremost, that is a public safety issue. That is a gun violence safety issue. That is a community safety issue. So for us here, again, it's not just about school safety. Our communities are under siege. The crime is out of control. As parents, as community members, as community leaders, we want to make sure that our children, our families, our elders, that everyone is safe and protected. And with that being said, the first thing that I do want to touch on, because I believe that this is also an extremely urgent matter. And you know, what convinced me even more is the video that I saw earlier this week with what happened recently in Chinatown. And you know, we're coming back to school safety, and I'm going to come back to also how this is related to other things when it comes to education, when it comes to specialized high schools, when it comes to gifted and talented, because it's you know, it's really it's much bigger than we think it is. So with that being said, Phil Wong, as Vice President of CACAGNY, I'd like you to put that hat on. I understand that Weiwa is also on here. I'm not sure if she would like to speak. If she does, I'd like to put her on. But, you know, we are a community. We are a family. And we are here to support each other. We all want the best for our children. We all want the best for our communities. And I think that the first thing that I would like to address, and then follow that up with how it's connected to school safety, what's happening right now with the lawlessness in our city, how that connects to school safety, and how we can seek solutions to address this crisis. So, Phil,
Yes.
You saw the video. I
Yes.
saw the video. It's I don't even know what to say. For our viewers that are unaware, Phil, could you explain what happened, the latest attack on our Asian community members?
Well, first, the press has portrayed this as we have random, unprovoked attacks that's targeting Asians only. And the press is trying to make you believe that those attacks are isolated. It's only targeting Asians and so forth. But let me tell you, I live in Elmhurst, right at bordering Corona, and I can tell you these attacks is happening every day, and everybody is being targeted, not just Asians. We have rivalry gangs targeting each other on the streets. Graffiti is way up where gangs are marking their territory using graffiti, and then we have un, untracked or we unknown number of cases, because the police is not even doing anything anymore, of forced bullying in parks, bullying in the streets by kids after school. These are matters that has spilled over not just to outside schools during dismissal. We see them in parks, we see them in bus stops, and we see them kids on their way to school. So again, school safety agents, if they were present, they would have neutralized, they would have stopped all of these events before they even happened. Now, for parents who may not notice, and that's because a lot of these incidents happen before school starts, before the kids enter the building. Okay, school safety agents see the kids every day. They see the kids more than the guidance counselors. Okay, so they are able to identify danger. Oh, so and so wants to start a fight with the other guy over there. You know, they just had an argument. They may want to resolve it after school at this other park over there. So school safety agents are the first line of defense of public schools, right? And unfortunately, as we all know, the police is under attack, and we have our own speaker, Corey Johnson, and we have Mark Traeger, the chairman of this education committee, proposing defunding the school safety agents and tell the DOE to hire counselors as a replacement. Well, let me tell you, not only this is wrong, right? This creates an unsafe environment for not just our kids in school, but also the teachers, the custodians, and the other staff that's in the building. And I can say from experience, okay, students, because they see the school safety agents, it's like part of the family. They are unarmed. They're unarmed. They don't have weapons, okay, and all they have is a set of attentive ears, a opening, a warming heart, and attentive, lots of attention, okay. And kids trust school safety agents. every school I visited in District 24, right, believes this is a absolutely crazy idea when you remove safety agents. Teachers will not be in the streets, will be outside the school buildings. Teachers will not be on the hallways or in the staircase if there are any problems with kids. Anything from fights to or weapons, bringing in weapons, or to even assaults in bathrooms. So we know that there are a lot of violent schools out there, which school safety agents is absolutely necessary to control a situation before they get out of hand. And if they're not there, we're going to see more of these shootings and stabbings, and parents will just lose trust in the public school system, and they will just take the kids out of the public school system, just like what happened in the 70s and 80s when I grew up.
Thank you, Phil. So, Marvella and Quyan, you heard what Phil has said. In my experience, and again, for me, I attended New York City public schools. I went to school in District 16 in the 80s. I graduated in 91. I remember how it was back then. I remember how it is now, how it's been with my children. There's a big difference. And people tend to think that, okay, school safety just sits there at the front desk. That's all that school safety does. School safety does nothing when it comes to the perimeter of the school. Safety is not involved if there's anything going on outside. Can you please talk about, in your experience, and I know recently school safety helped capture, a pedophile here in the Bronx. Quyan, Marvella, could you please speak with your experience about?
Let me go just to tap on, because Phil just mentioned that they're replacing school safety for guidance and social workers. I had went to a school to drop off some timesheets. And as I'm talking to a supervisor, you could hear a bunch of yelling and fussing and cussing. I looked up and realized it was coming from the 3rd floor. Immediately, I ran up to the 3rd floor. You see 2 boys in each other's face, and the teacher was behind the desk. So I said, "Is everything okay?" So the kids looked at her. She said, "Everything is fine." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes." She was frightened. So we left. Went downstairs, it got louder. Went back upstairs, they were throwing down, blood was everywhere.
My God.
So then I asked the teacher, I said, "I thought you said it was okay." She said, she just got quiet. But the teachers are afraid. In another incident, I'm looking at the cameras, and now I was in an elementary school, and you get to see a teacher out in the hall reaching out for help. So I go up there, and it was a little girl, 8 years old, standing on a desk, jumping from desk to desk, and then she started kicking kids. So I asked the child, I said, "Could you please come with me?" I said, "Because we friends." She said, "Yes." And she came out there politely. So I know we're not supposed to go inside and manage a classroom unless it's some violence. So there's no teacher management. And then I asked the principal, I said, "What's supposed to happen in situations like this? Because we're not supposed to go inside classrooms." She said, "The guidance counselor is supposed to deal with that." So I looked at the cameras. The guidance counselor came maybe 5 minutes later. She said, "Where were you?" And I said, "She was in the class." She said, "Oh, I thought they said that, she was in the cafeteria." But I checked the cameras. The guidance counselor was hiding. She was in a stairwell buying time. So she knew eventually one of us would go in there and bring this child to her senses. So what are they going to do when they hire 500 plus or 200 counselors? What they going to do? Wait for our kids to see death? It's a dangerous situation going on in these schools. And then after the kids in the high school was fighting, we did perimeter checks. You found razor blades and knives. So they was coming back to hurt somebody. Because you got these scanning buildings and they cannot bring weapons inside the building. So they stash their weapons. So that's all I want to know. This is the one question I keep trying to ask. What are they going to do allegedly when they shift us over to DOE? which I think is a hoax, because there's nothing wrong with school safety right now.
Yeah.
You wanna-
Let me clarify that. Right. I hear a lot people echoing what AOC said. You know, there's this school to prisons pipeline. And the way they sounded like school safety agents are arresting young kids and put them into Rikers Island since they're in middle school. Okay, and that's just absolutely a myth. It's absolutely not true. And then every time when I bump into a parent, I have to explain to them, right? School safety agents do not make arrests.
We can no longer make an arrest. We can no longer give summons. We give warning cards. And we have verbal judo. We speak to the kids very well.
And there may be kids arrested, but it has nothing to do with school safety agents. All right, so every parent here has to understand. It has
Those are
nothing
the
to
ones
do.
who get a good gummy bear or a brownie cake. They're super duper high.
Yes,
Super high.
that's a very important point that I need, you know, I need our parents to understand, because there has been this false narrative that, you know, schools, you know, the police in schools, remove police in schools. Yes, our school safety agents are under the supervision of the NYPD since 1998. But there's a reason why they were put under the supervision of the NYPD, because the Department of Education, which is already incompetent and fails at their one job, which is to educate our children, also failed when it came to supervising school safety agents back then. There were no background checks, okay? There was no supervision. There was no professional development, okay? So for those reasons and many other reasons, including some school safety agents back then, because there were no background checks, who were members of gangs, who were having inappropriate relationships with students. Kwayan can talk further about that, but there is a very valid reason why our school safety agents were removed from under the supervision of the Department of Education and put under the NYPD. And I just also want to point out that former Chancellor Richard Carranza, who I have absolutely nothing in common with, I learned today, thanks to other parents, actually Lucas Liu from Place NYC, that in the in one of the school diversity reports, when the issue of school safety agents came up, Richard Carranza, former Chancellor Carranza, said that school safety should remain under the NYPD, because the Department of Education doesn't have the capacity to train and supervise them. So it's very interesting that now, you know, again, there's this push to remove our school safety agents and put them under the Department of Education with no plan, no explanation. It's not broken. There's no need to fix it. But I want to go to Kwayan. You know, school safety agents, again, right here in the Bronx, they help capture a pedophile. School safety agents are out there. They're the perimeter of the school. They move traffic along. Small business owners appreciate them as well, because, you know, they look out for the small business owners when the students are dismissed. But Kwayan, could you just talk to our viewers and explain to them the type of training that school safety agents receive under the NYPD compared to what it was under the Department of Education?
All right, before I say that, it's three things that I want to touch on. So that meeting with Richard Carranza that we learned the other night on Inform NYC was that it was in 2018 when they brought this up to him at an education council meeting, and they tried to, then shift school safety back to the purview of the Department of Education, and he was against it. This was 2018, March of 2018. And this is now currently, we come now into 2020 with this whole George Floyd situation and the shift of everyone else getting rid of their schools, police officers who are armed police officers. It was now thrown back. And, this whole decision is being put on the table, 2211, which is a proposal, was put there to appease the crowd, the mob, the lynch mob. That's really what it was. It was drafted by Costa Constantinides along with 17 others who jumped on, the bandwagon because they were afraid of the lynch mob, AKA Donna Lieberman, Civil Liberties Union, and all of her cronies from the UIC and all of their groups. So I wanted to talk about the school to prison pipeline real quick, Phil.
Sure.
I'm going to dispel this myth tonight, and I hope people are watching, and I hope that, it reaches their ears. The school to prison pipeline has absolutely nothing to do with school safety. The school to prison pipeline doesn't even have anything to do with the NYPD, because me and myself, as well as Mona and Marvella and every school safety agent knows that the three most egregious people in this pipeline are the Department of Education, who failed to properly educate our children. Supermajority of our children are not proficient in reading, math, or writing, not at all. They failed them there. And then you have the ACS system, which also comes from the Department of Education. These wonderful social workers and guidance counselors. I'm not anything against social workers and guidance counselors because they are needed, but the ineffective ones who don't do school-based interventions in the school where it should be starting from, they shuffle it and shuttle it out to ACS, now bringing ACS involvement. Once ACS involvement comes in, you have a whole nother situation where now you have children being introduced to the system, being taken out of their home for things that could have been rectified in the school had the social workers and guidance counselors done a proper intervention. But now you have them in a foster home, which now leads these children to become delinquent and to also become truant because they're somewhere where they don't want to be, which now introduces them to ACS detention centers, AKA little Rikers and little jails, which now they get a criminal record and they start to progress, which they now go into the penal system with, don't leave out the judicial system because these people are putting these children away. It has nothing to do with NYPD or school safety. That pipeline is DOE, ACS, and the judicial system. That's where the pipeline is coming from. I want to get rid of that myth because I'm so tired of hearing it. Secondly, the racist policing, the false narrative. One, there's no police in the school. There's no one there but school safety. School safety agents are there. We used to have a uniform task force unit that was comprised of about 200 police officers who are no longer in the unit. They've been disbanded and taken away. It's only school safety. We're not processing an arrest. Everything is, sent over to other avenues, sent over to someone else. They don't have this. They have warning cards. Kids are not getting arrested. These are not happening. They're trying to sugarcoat all the weapons that are being brought into these schools. They're trying to sugarcoat all the crimes that are being committed in these schools. And, the number one offender of the school system is the irate parent that they're leaving out of this equation that social workers and guidance counselors run, administrators run and hide from when these parents enter those buildings. And it's basically on us to dwarf them and get them out. Because when they come, they're coming and they're coming for whoever and they don't care. Social workers and guidance counselors they're not equipped to deal with it. And there's no way that you can expect a teacher to leave their classroom giving education and instruction to go into the hallways, the cafeterias, the bathrooms, the stairwells where incidents are happening, because now they're leaving people's children unattended. Yep. So that wouldn't happen. Social workers and guidance counselors, they're not breaking up a fight. They're not getting involved because their contract prohibits it. So, this asinine way of thinking that these people have is totally out of control. There's no racist police. We're all at mostly 70% female, 90% minority. And these are our children. When they talk about children, our children, the politicians, no, they're our children. Mm-hmm. School safety's children, because we are kept with those children throughout the day. Parents, when they see us, the first thing they look for is school safety. The first thing you see when you walk through that building is school safety. When you see morning arrival, before you even get a child that even goes through a scanning in a high school, the first thing they see at that door is school safety, because that's who they come into contact with. We know those children. I've been in high schools, and there's a lot of my coworkers on here who know we've been in high schools where we have 5,000 plus children in school safety. Most agents will know about 1,500 to 2,000 of them by name, because we interact with those children every single day because we're visible and we're accessible. So, the myths have to stop. We're not profiling these children. because these are our children. They are us. And someone gave me a statement earlier today, and you know, I loved it. And I know she's probably watching, so I'm not going to say who you are. But she said, school safety. We protect tomorrow. We protect tomorrow's future today. That's what we do. So with that being said, I'm going to break down what Mona just put out there. You know, when I was a child, I grew up in the board of education, you know, system. And I'm not knocking my coworkers and colleagues who paved the way for me, who came before me, because this wasn't your course or your burden to bear. You were under the supervision of the Board of Education. So whatever you did at their tutelage and what they asked you to do, you can't be held accountable for, because that's who you were governed by. But I will say that the level of security was subpar. It was insufficient. It wasn't enough, because there was fights, there was stabbings, there was shootings, there was rape, gang assaults. It was teacher, student on teacher, student on student, parent on student, parent on teacher. It was anything goes. And those days are over, null and void, because that NYPD moniker on our shirts is a deterrent. It stops a lot of things. People think twice before they commit certain situations, because they know that we're there. They know that we're going to respond. And they know that we have a direct radio communication to patrol in that street that gets them there in minutes. So it's a deterrent. That training that we have, the level of training is so substantially improved from what was. The things that we are, I mean, you have conflict resolution, we have, you know, mediation trainings, we have AED CPR, we have, like, the list can go on and on to the point where it's tools for tolerance, dignity for all, dealing with persons in emotional crisis intervention, implicit bias training that they've given to us twice, which we already had it, diffusing hostility, active shooter protocol, which we're in a public building. Anytime that building can become an active shooter, because people walk in off the street. You can't deny people access. They can come in. You have to, you know, identify them, find out who they are, sign them on. But it's a public building. It can't be taken away from the public safety format, because it's a public building. We also have, you know, de-escalation, early childhood mental first aid, behavioral restorative justice training. All these things that they want to implement, we already utilize, and we utilize them efficiently and effectively. So, you know, this is all propaganda. It's all propaganda. Back then versus now, two separate things. The schools are much safer than they ever were. And more children are graduating and going on to secondary education, because they're able to get somewhat of, you know, whatever they can get from the education that's being given to them, and they're moving on. So if we can make sure we keep that in place, not just saying we want to keep school safety in the schools, we want to keep the school safety in the schools under NYPD, because it's effective. Don't put us into a bubble and scapegoat us for this whole defund the police situation, because we're not the police. We're school safety. It's something totally different. And people have to realize that. And once they realize that, and they come to that level of understanding that what we do is totally different. That young man, Devontae Lewis, lost his life because there was not school safety in that building. I'm going to stand on that wholeheartedly. They can't tell me anything different, because if we were out there in that light blue uniform with those patches as a deterrent, whoever was waiting on him to come out, they would not have done it there. They would have kept it pushing, because they already know it's too close for comfort. I'm just being realistic with it. They're not talking about, you know, what happened in the Bronx last week, where the agents, you know, apprehended the pedophile from the young lady who was, you know, done wrong. They were right there. They went into action and they did what they had to do. If they were not part of the public safety format, they would not have been able to do so. We're not talking about Tuesday, this past Tuesday, where most of my coworkers who are on here will tell you we all were stuck, and we were in a situation where we couldn't eat OT, because they were basically saying they were looking for a missing child in my area, in my precinct, that the mother didn't know where she was. And last contact was from 8:30 in the morning. So they had an all-out mobilization. And for those of you who don't know what a mobilization is when everybody gets together collectively to canvass the area, to give out, you know, flyers, and to let people know. School safety was instrumental in making sure that this child was found. And we were basically stuck even in our own buildings, because you know why? Because they wanted to see if that kid got lost somewhere in the city, and if she had, you know, presence of mind to walk into a building, that one of us would be there to receive that child. So, you know, the name of the game is, you know, false narratives. They will tell you what they want you to believe, but they will not tell you what they know, because if they tell you what they know, they would have to then admit that school safety is a necessity and that it is desperately needed. Mona, did that answer your question?
Yes, it sure did. Thank you. It absolutely certainly did. We have 3 speakers that I would like to call on to address us. One is on the phone, so that will be audio only, and that is Weiwa Chim from Kakagni. Weiwa, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. So the first thing I want to say is really thank you, Mona, for putting this together, and Phil too. This is really extremely, extremely important for all the kids, all the families in New York. And I also want to thank all the school safety agents. You know, all my kids went to public schools, and we thank you for everything you do every single day before school opens, after school finishes, during the day. That is so important what is done. And it is exactly the scapegoating that is happening here that is outrageous. We shouldn't let the politicians get away with it. I think Kiana said that a couple of these things that are just outrageous, to take on the school safety agents and scapegoat them for all the failings in everything else, to say that we have to take out what works. We have dangerous schools. We need school safety agents in there, NYPD monitored. They're not even gun-toting police officers or anything like that. They're the ones who smile and greet our kids. And so we want to stop that. We want to focus on how the scapegoating is going through this entire society, because they're not addressing what the real issues are. We have problems of crime. And then what happens is that you have people targeting different sectors of the society. We do have a spike up in anti-Asian crimes. There are attacks on Asians. That I heard Phil also, there are attacks everywhere, and that is outrageous. We can't have that anywhere. Now, for the Asians, I do want to say that there are things that connect everything that's going on here, because what's happening in the schools is that kids are not being told that you should not judge people by their race, by the color of their skin. Instead, they're pitting kids against one another. And that is wrong. That kind of scapegoating right in the schools of saying, well, we're not going to go fix the schools. We're not going to go and make all the kids learn better. What we're going to do is just tear it apart and say that we're going to make the kids fight one another and not let them all have a good, fair chance at the specialized high schools. They want to say, no, we think that there are too many Asians. And so that really seeps into the thinking of everybody that says, we can discriminate against kids in the schools. That means we could go attack them on the streets. Yes. So there is a direct connection between the anti-Asian sentiment, the exclusion that is happening in the schools, that is happening on the streets too. This is no accident. This is directly connected. And it goes back to the schools for what we should be doing there in fostering that kind of community with all of the different parties there. People should not have to fear when they go into the schools for their own safety. And that is extremely important for us to make sure that our school safety agents get to stay there as they are now. You don't stop a fight by calling in the social worker, okay? You don't, when a 9/11 happens, say, oh, I'm gonna call the social worker and it's gonna really help my kids get out safely from the school. Let's be real. Let's stop scapegoating. Let's thank our school safety agents for all that they do for our kids every single day. And that means that it's not just for the kids, it's for the families too, because we feel better for that happening. So if it means that what we should do is go out there, get in front of Tweed Hall and protest and tell them, get all the parents, get all the families. We need them. We're here to do that. So thank you again, Mona. Thank you all, the school safety agents.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was Wayward Chin from Kakagni. Our next speaker is Maud Marin from a Manhattan Parents and a Community Education Council member.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for hosting this. And I'm just going to echo one thing that Weiwa said, which is a big thank you to the school safety agents. I have 4 kids currently in public schools. I have a child in high school, a child in middle school, a child in elementary school, and a child in pre-K. So I have the wraparound perspective on how this works. And I am absolutely 100% committed to supporting school safety agents remaining under the purview of the NYPD. To also echo something that was said, don't fix what's not broken. And I'm gonna share with you my personal experience of course, my eldest is in high school, so I've been a public school parent for a long time now, but I have sat on the Community Education Council for District 2, which is the largest district in Manhattan, one of the largest in the city, 49 elementary and middle schools, and also universal pre-K centers. So a tremendous number of schools. We also have within the district a great number of high schools. It's not our council, but we have 65,000 students when you combine the high schools and the elementary schools in the district. I am coming to the close of 4 years serving on the Community Education Council. I've also sat on my school leadership teams. Never once, not one single time, and we have 2 public sessions at every meeting, and we have a working business meeting and a calendar meeting. Never once did a parent in our district come to our meetings and complain about school safety agents. Not one single time did we field a single complaint or a single concern. But yet, and this is something that Kian brought up and mentioned, the politics interfere. And all of a sudden, some members of my council were like, we're going to try to pass a resolution to say we wanted to have NYPD removed from our schools and we want to get school safe. We fought back on that resolution, but we had to do it by speaking common sense and saying, what are you talking about? Like, we don't hear any complaints about our school safety agents. In fact, once that resolution landed on our agenda, parents showed up to say, what are you talking about? We don't want that. The school safety agents in our schools are part of our community. We trust them, we rely on them, and we absolutely don't want what you're proposing. But this proposal to transfer school safety agents from the NYPD, where the training and the governance has worked very well, back to the Department of Education, where it was a disaster, is not based on common sense. It's not based on what parents are saying they need and what parents are experiencing. It is certainly not based on what is good for our children, all of our children. It is a political move where our children are coming in last. And the working women that make up the majority of the school safety agents certainly their voices are not being factored into this discussion either, which as a woman, as a working woman, drives me crazy, because you have to, for the folks who are promoting this are folks who will tell you all the time how much they care about working people and progressive politics and Black and brown people, but yet they are disregarding the voices of this union. They are disregarding the voices of public school parents, and they're disregarding our children. So I'm deeply frustrated watching it happen. I'm doing what I can in speaking up. As some of you know, I'm running for city council, and I'm certainly trying to make sure that we can elect city council members who speak common sense to the policies that keep our children safe, also the broader public safety conversations that we need to have. And I'll just say, I'll wrap up by saying that I was at pickup yesterday at my kid's elementary school, and I was standing on 11th Street with a bunch of other parents, and there was a guy, not like the scariest guy I've ever seen, but he was yelling and screaming and looked a little bit, maybe he was drunk or high, but he kept very agitated, yelling at one parent in particular. The first thing a parent did is went halfway down the block to the front doors of our school, opened the doors, and the school safety agent walked out. So again, the guidance counselor's on another floor somewhere. It was the school safety agent who walked out the door and walked over and stood there, and luckily nothing much happened, but just The parents wanted the school safety agent to come and deal with the situation because they were waiting for the doors to open up and the kids pour out. And it was, of course, reassuring and helpful to have someone there. And the situation didn't escalate, in part, I think, because the school safety agent walked out and was standing right there. But the presence of the school safety agent was important to the parents of the community. It was important to have someone so that the doors didn't open up and elementary schools kids started pouring out right into a situation that was a little bit volatile. And I can't understand why, when you have something, I do understand why, because politics is crazy in New York, but I'm just going to point out that it is wrong-headed and bad for our kids and bad for the workforce that we need to support, to say that we're going to make this change so that a couple of politicians can pat themselves on the back and tell you they've defunded the NYPD, when in fact all they've done is make our schools less safe. I think that's an intolerable move on the part of politicians who are being selfish. I oppose it, and I stand with the school safety agents in keeping them with the NYPD.
Thank you so much, Mord. This is just another example of how our school safety agents go above and beyond. We all know that if there's something going on the block or around the corner, the first thing that we're going to do is, if there's a school right there, we're going to run into the school and we're going to call the school safety agents. So definitely 100% agree with you. I know that Kwayan, at some point, the story of what happened, I think with your niece as well at the McDonald's, you can share that with folks. But I see Kwayan's hand is up. So Kwayan, I'm just gonna let you speak if you have a question. And then after that, we'll continue with Sam, and then with Queenie and Irene. And if you want to speak, please put your hand up and then we can let you speak. But the next order would be Kwayan, and then Sam Pirazzolo, and then Queenie. I'll let you in so that you can also tell us what you think.
Okay, well, I wanted to touch on that McDonald's situation. The young lady I refer to as my niece because it's my daughter's really good friend since kindergarten. She was attacked and, gang assaulted by 6 young ladies. And this all happened around, right after dismissal, broad daylight, adults watching, recording, taking video screens, no one's helping, no one intercepted. And, they talk about how the situation got rectified, but no one talks about the agents at Erasmus High School who came out of their school, which is 2 doors away, and came and actually stopped said incident and were able to identify those young ladies as their students and make sure that those young ladies got later apprehended. No one talks about that, and the significance of what school safety can do with that public platform. But I have 3 things to talk about really quick, Mona. It's gonna be real quick. So for the first thing I wanted to say is, they talk about what goes on in the schools and how things are handled and how situations get, taken care of. And principals, it's a principal's building. They're the school leader, his or her building. They control that school. Children going out in crisis, that's a 911 call that's being made from the school itself. Those children are being sent to the hospital by the school administration, i.e. the psychologist or, the social worker or the school nurse or whoever assessed them. But that child cannot leave that building, even in the process of an arrest, anything, a kid. The school has local parenti. They are the guardian for the day. They have to be notified. A child cannot leave that building without excess amount of calls and paperwork. And when a child in crisis is going out that door to that ambulance, they're going with a staff member who's accompanying them. That person's day has to be interrupted. They have to now be signed out and also have to be taken out of the roster. So administration is aware. They're well aware, but they put that brunt and burden onto school safety when that's their cross to bear because they are the school leader. Nothing goes on in that building without their knowledge. So this false narrative of school safety taking these children and we're just throwing them into, the ambulance and they're being shuttled out, that's a negative because it's that administration who called for that child. And it's that administration who knows they're leaving the building accompanied by a staff member, even in the process of an arrest, which is very seldom. There's so many different channels that have to be covered before you can do that. Secondly, I wanted to talk about the 13 to 21-year-old demographic that's out here in the street that's creating most of these crimes. and then most of the victims are the 13 to 21-year-old demographic as well, which is our high school population. They are, and listen, so that brings me to my next thought process that I need to put out there. School safety numbers are severely depleted. With this whole fiasco, this whole crisis has created mass hysteria and fear amongst agents. So those of us who had time and they could actually retire have done so. Those of us who have less than a certain amount of years who feel that, they're not vested in a pension, they're resigning because that's what they're choosing to do, to find something that they feel will be stable because they don't know where the situation is going to go. So our numbers are now severely low. And we're at 25% capacity, now 50% capacity with the second opt-in. We still have crimes. We still have mass weapons are being confiscated in these buildings. So now we're going to go to the situation where everyone's coming back full circle. September, all the students are coming back. All the staff is coming back. Everyone's coming back. But guess what? You don't have an adequate amount of school safety agents to properly cover these buildings. We had scanning buildings who had 13 to 18 agents because you got 5,000 and 6,000 students, but now you got 9 agents. That means something's going to go lacking because we're not only just at that main desk. During the scanning situation, you got agents at those scanning machines, agents that's doing phase 2s, agents that's watching exits so that children don't leave things outside, and when they come in, they're getting retrieved. So that's a safety concern for me. So Phil, Maud, all the parents on here, do me a favor. Get in contact with your council member and let them know that there is a severe shortage of school safety agents in New York City, and that it's going to be mass chaos when this 13 to 21-year-old demographic of our high school population who's committing most of these crimes come back into these buildings, because guess what? Those crimes on the street correspond to the school because they're all one, public safety. So I need parents on here, everybody, to get on the horn and call their council member and let them know it's an election year. They want your vote. So this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to force their hand. We're going to have to play politics the same way that they're playing politics, because all this defund the police and all this removing school safety is political. It's all political. It's political propaganda. It's political pandering, and it's also puppetism because the puppets are now speaking. But we're going to have to do something. So Mona, let me know when you get a chance. We'll correlate, because I need to find out from you about Sadie. When is Sadie going to ever engage the parents? Because parents still have not been engaged. And that's what I have to say on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, Kwayan. And therein lies the problem. Okay, the Department of Education, if they want to communicate with parents, pandemic or no pandemic, for the students that do come in, they can backtrack it. They could put it on the website, they could send emails, they can send text messages. The fact that the Department of Education has not notified parents about this absurd, outrageous, crazy idea.
I just got my survey from the Department of Education earlier today for my kids, so I can fill out the survey. So they can definitely email all the parents. They can email us. So we need to find out what the holdup is on that.
No, absolutely. The Department of Education has not informed parents about this idea to move our school safety agents from under the purview of the NYPD and put them under the Department of Education. And what's so concerning to me is that, when it comes to our children, and especially our children's safety, anything that's going to impact them when they are at school, we should be notified about. Because the bottom line is, our children cannot learn in an unsafe environment. And the Department of Education, looking at doing this and not notifying the parents, they're not notifying the parents because they know that the parents will object. We want our children safe. We know that when we drop our children off at school, we know for a fact that the school safety agents will protect our children. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Sam Pirozzolo. Sam is the former 7-year president of Community Education Council 31 on Staten Island. He's an education advocate. He has also been the vice president of the New York City Parents Union for about 10 years. And I think just about every lawsuit that we filed against the Department of Education, the state education department, the governor, Sam has been on it along with our parents and our children. So Sam, if you could please give us your thoughts on this.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Nice to see you. So I can't say enough how much I agree with everybody, except for you, Queanne. Yes, I know you're shocked. You left one person out. Who do you think is in charge of New York City public education? Michael Mulgrew.
UFT.
Oh,
Okay.
We know.
Yeah, so no one's calling Michael Mulgrew out. The DOE isn't really smart enough to do this on their own. This is probably a UFT initiative. We just don't know about it. Just like when they didn't want to pass Avante's law when the young boy ran out of the school. So I'm going to let you know, I sent this to Mona. I sent it to Howard Wise this morning. This was an article in New York One today. It was written by Jill Jorgensen. Simone, I think maybe you should get in contact with her. You might know her from the Staten Island Advance when she was here on Staten Island. The article says, NYPD removal of students from schools on the rise.
I read it.
NYPD, that's not necessarily school safety agents, but guess what? You're under the NYPD banner, so that is you, okay? So there's a false narrative that's going on here. I think maybe some equal time, you know, with Jill should be good. I kind of did the math, and it says that since 2016 to 2020, 12,000 students have been removed by the NYPD in handcuffs, we're talking about, right? So obviously can't be school safety agents. But I did the math, and I used the 1.1 million students, like de Blasio likes to say, only admitted only 890,000. But with 1.1 million students, that is a 1% problem rate that you have where children were removed from the school. Hardly an epidemic or pandemic, if you want to use the word. So I think it's kind of time for some tough love. I mean, I know that we have some people here, even myself included, who are candidates for political office. And Sadio said it best, and you've all kind of touched on it. But this is politics, okay? Jumaane Williams, we had a meeting with him. He thinks he's going to be the savior. No one gives a damn about what you people say or about what you people want, okay? So I don't want to go Republican, Democrat. I'm just putting it out the way it is. New York City is controlled by Democrats. This is a Democratic problem or a Democrat problem. Now, I know that there are some people who are running, and if you live in New York City, you pretty much have to run as a Democrat. That's okay, but you've got bad Democrats in the mix. You've got Democratic Socialists of America in the mix. These people are coming after you because they can, and that's all there is to it. So while I would love to tell you to go out and change your party affiliation, because that's really what's needed, if you're going to vote for a Democrat, you need to choose wisely, because not only are these people after you and are going to remove you or trying to remove you, they say they're doing it on your behalf. They're doing it on behalf of the parents, okay? So you've got to get in there, and you know, if you have to bring 20 people to a council person's office, you have to do it, because that is the only way, period. So, you know, like I said, it's definitely political. You know, I don't want to rant too much, but that is the answer. They're coming after you because you're an easy target. No one's going to know any better or any different. They're still going to see safety agents in the hallways, whether they're under NYPD or not. I guess most people probably don't know. But this is a political thing. Jumaane doesn't give a damn. Nobody else gives a damn. So, you know, the only thing you can do is work on it with your vote, get your friends to register, you know, in your neighborhoods, your communities. You have to vote. You know, the reason we have de Blasio for the 8 years we have him is because nobody turned up to vote, because of, you know, it was so bad. So you all seem like my second family. Oh, by the way, now I know why it's raining outside, because I logged on to a school safety agent meeting. Just kind of a sidebar there. Some of you know what I mean.
Stop. That's not nice.
I'm like, man, that's a lot of rain, you know. But you know, but that's what's going on. They're using the narrative that they're doing this on your behalf. So there's got to be some sort of a public campaign. going back, and, you definitely need to call Jill Jorgensen from New York One and push back on what she said. This is what she's being fed. And who was this from? This was the Advocates for Children. But it was from the Advocates for Children. It was Dawn Euster. I mean, I think we know the name Dawn Euster. Mona, is that possible? Dawn Euster?
No, that one doesn't sound familiar to me.
So it's Dawn Euster, director of the School Justice Project at Advocates for Children. Okay, so she might as well be the project director for Democratic Socialists of our public schools, because that's really what's going on. So that's all I really kind of have to say, but this is a political fight. It's a political battle. I don't necessarily mean to pick on people just because they're Democrats, but look at the situation in New York City. It is a democratically controlled city. It is a democratically controlled state. Nothing is going to change until we swing that balance. And I'm going to tell you, swinging that balance isn't going to happen a year or 2 years, it's probably about 20 years out. But that's what you got to do. And if you're going to vote Democrat, you need to sit down with that Democrat. You need to get their positions. And, like I think even maybe Phil said it, or Sadio, that, once these people are in office, they don't care what you have to say anymore. They're in office, so you have to make changes. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Yes, no, Sadio is 100% right when he says this is definitely political. But what concerns me is just simply this false narrative, the false narrative that school safety agents are police officers. That is false. That is a lie. The other false narrative that the school safety agents are responsible for the school to prison pipeline. Like Kwayan said, a supermajority of New York City students do not read, write, or do math at grade level. We are graduating many students who are illiterate and innumerate. And then these students continue and they go on to college, and then
hold on, stop right there. How can we be graduating students who are illiterate?
Easy.
It's not possible.
Because they're getting a poor education.
It's called credit recovery.
Yes, I know. We've been there. there. It's one lawsuit.
Precisely. So this is the problem. So when they say that the police in schools, who they're referring to, our school safety agents, when they say that they are responsible for the school to prison pipeline, I am a product of the New York City public school system. My daughter is a product of the New York City public school system. My son is currently in the New York City public school system. And I can tell you for a fact, the cause of the school to prison pipeline is the Department of Education and their failure to properly educate our children. And I will also go a step further and say the other cause for the school to prison pipeline is the soft bigotry of low expectations that they have for Black and Hispanic students. Okay,
yeah, that's not too racist now, is it?
Does not promote, does not encourage Black and Hispanic educational excellence. And the fact that we are having this debate, which I personally call a racist debate when it comes to the specialized high schools, this debate about the specialized high schools, about the fact that, oh, okay, there are not enough Black and Hispanic students attending the specialized high schools. My daughter attended a specialized high school. She is Black, okay?
So Jamani Williams.
And so did Jamani Williams attend a specialized high school. And this is the conversation that we need to have as a community, as parents. Super majority of children in New York City schools are not at grade level. That has been the case now, not just for 1 year, not just for 5 years,
for 10, 20
years. It has been the case for a couple of decades.
Yeah, easy.
So instead of focusing on these 9 specialized high schools, including LaGuardia, instead of focusing on these schools, instead of focusing on those students,
focus on all the schools and all the students.
Focus on the other, well, it's not anymore over 1 million because parents are fleeing the system, but we need to focus on the supermajority of children in the system.
Can I speak again to that?
Who do not read, write, and do math at grade level.
May I speak again to that, please?
Yes, that is the cause of the school to prison pipeline.
Here's the tough.
1 second, Sam. The soft bigotry of low expectations when it comes to Black and Hispanic students. That is what I want to make clear tonight. That is responsible for the school to prison pipeline. It isn't Quyan, it isn't Marvella, it isn't our school safety agents. It's not my neighbors like Marvella in Co-op City. Marvella's in Co-op City. I'm in Section 5. I don't know what section you're in, Marvella, but you are my neighbors. It's not people that look like Marvella. They are not the ones who are racist. They are not racist police. They are not armed. They do not call the police. That decision is made by the principals. And that is the other thing we need to look at. That principals union, okay? When the calls are made to NYPD, it is the principals that make that decision, not our school safety agents. So that being said, because I can really go off when it comes to that, but these are things that we need to look at. Do not blame women that look like me, women that look like Quyan, women that look like Marvella. Do not blame the majority Black, Hispanic, and Asian workforce that makes up our school safety agents, our civilian school safety agents. Don't blame them for the school to prison pipeline. You look at the Department of Education. That's who's responsible for the school to prison pipeline.
100%.
So we just want to make sure that we are all clear on that. Okay, Sam, I'll give you a minute because we need to move on.
Here's another rant. You know what we should do? We should find out in which council districts those schools are where 95%, 90% of our students can't read and write, and go up to that city councilman's office and say, why do you tolerate this from the Department of Education? And see how much money they've gotten from the UFT throughout the years. Okay, because that's really what's happening. You know, it ceases to amaze me with minority communities, and we even have problems here in Staten Island, whatever. You know, like the wealthier neighborhoods, they don't necessarily have drug dealing. Well, I'm not going to go too crazy, but let's just say they don't necessarily have drug dealing because it gets pushed into other communities. Why do these other communities tolerate that? In what I have seen in my life, it's because sometimes the leaders in those communities who do get public funds say, well, you know, we kind of have to do it. You are in charge of your own community. We need to go to these city council people and say, listen, these schools in your district, 95% failing rate, what are you going to do about it? I mean, I talked at one time of putting bus ads on buses that drive through certain communities and say, do you know that 95% of your students are failing? That's what's gotta happen.
Can I say something?
Yeah, you got my permission.
Sam, the reason why most of those communities have teachers that have students that are failing and are below, you know, the proficiency rate is because all of the ineffective U-rated teachers who are tenured that they can't get rid of get shuffled into the Black and brown Title I disenfranchised and disparaged communities, because they're not going to send them to the affluent community because those parents will not stand for it. That's exactly why our children in the Black and brown and disparaged and disenfranchised communities are failing, because we get ineffective teachers. That's why. And I'm also waiting for Jamani Williams to take my 288 challenge, but he still refuses. So I want him to come to my community where I work, Title I, disparaged, disenfranchised, 20 housing developments, and see what goes on during the day with the irate parents, the violence outside during the feeding program, and everything else that Mona hears when I'm talking to her, what's going on throughout the day. Come and take a walk on the wild side. Absolutely. Don't talk about it, be about it. But the reason why most of our children are failing is due to that fact, that the DOE, as well as the UFT, I'm not leaving them out because they know who their ineffective teachers are. They push them into our communities because the affluent community will not take them. They will not stand for it. And about that New York One article, I posted it on all of the school safety pages because It's a false narrative there. We're not police. We're not NYPD. We're under the umbrella, but we're
That's
not.
right.
But to say that 5, 6, and 7-year-olds were handcuffed and taken out of the building is totally false, because a child under the age of 12 cannot be handcuffed. You can't even put Velcro restraints on a child under the age of 8. So with that being said, that's a complete lie and a complete
So
false
you
narrative.
need to reach out to Jill Jorgensen and you need to tell her
Listen, that person is already in my
I'm
folder
gonna
for
reach
tomorrow.
out to her tomorrow. And
And I'm
Mona
calling Dawn Euster too.
Mona and I happen to be on a lawsuit right now against the Department of Education and the New York State Education Department, talking about
And
the
the UFT.
well, the UFT joined, right? Well, if you think about it, they really should have joined us against the Department of Education. But we are in the middle of that lawsuit right now, and we have been for about 10 years.
United Federation of Thugs.
Yeah, well, whatever. But, you know, so I hear you very much, but that's definitely what's going on. You know, there's no doubt about it. So I want to say, and there's one other thing I want to tell you. So, you know, I'm not running in your parts of the city, whatever, but I am running the city council, right? And one of the things I'm doing in my city council is I want that city council member. So everybody else who's running, because I see some guy from District 46 or whatever, everybody else who's running for city council, I think that city councilmen should be mandatory that they maintain an office in a NYCHA housing complex at least 2 days a week or 3 days a week, every other week, so that they get to go in and see what it's like in a NYCHA housing complex with the gangs and the people coming back. I think that city council people should have Medicaid, basic Medicaid insurance. Okay, so this way they got to go to the doctor's office and they can see how many patients are stacked up to see a doctor and how people are treated. We treat our city council people too nice. All right.
And pay them too much.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. I do want that job.
We have quite a number of parents and community members who have their hands raised. I'm going to start off first with Queenie. Queenie, I see like you have two, you know, there are two Queenies here. I don't know, Phil, perhaps.
I believe they're the same person, Queenie.
Okay, so Queenie, the floor is yours. You have a minute because we have quite a few opinions to hear.
Good. Go ahead, Queenie. Hello? Queenie? Queenie, please unmute. You are unmute. You are unmuted. Please unmute. Queenie, all right, she is not responding. So let's move on and we'll come back to her later, yeah?
Okay.
Oh, wait. Queenie? Okay, go ahead.
I don't see myself. Well, I'm going to be short. I was a Buddhist student at my school.
Queenie, there's an echo.
I think you have two channels on, so turn off the other one.
Right now.
What about now? Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
The other one.
Right now. What about now? Can you hear me better? Yes. Well, I'm going to be short. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, I was a Buddhist student at public school. And it happened to
Okay.
All right, we have to come back.
If you're not speaking, please keep your audio on mute. If everyone could please put their audio on mute because we're letting in all of the other guests to the town hall. And next up is Jessica Wallace. Jessica, please, the floor is yours. Jessica, we can barely hear you, if that's you. Okay, so let's continue. Joseph Chow, the floor is yours. You can unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. And
Good evening. Hi, good evening, Mr. Wang. This is Joseph Chow. His daughter attends my former school, and he will tell you it's one of the safest schools. Anyway, I heard the passion in both school agents' voice. I want to let you know, as an assistant principal, I couldn't do my job without your help. They were wonderful. All right, so if I may, I think the history was the mayor wanted to lower the crime rate, so he first removed the cops from the building. My principal, people, kind of, even you mentioned the principal should be reporting. The principal were reprimanded for reporting too many incidents. They were told not to report it if you can resolve it yourself. My principal was reprimanded for reporting 10 incidents. I was in a school of more than 4,000 kids. Some other school with population of less than 1,000 reported 6. That principal didn't get into trouble. So my principal blew his stack. Didn't really help. He was reprimanded in front of a bunch of people. So one of the things I told parents, okay, in my son's school, the principal was removed, basically reduced to assistant principal. He served as a scapegoat. He was supposed to report a crime, he didn't. So they used him, they demoted him. So I've been urging my, I've been different WeChat groups. I've been urging people that if the school calls you regarding something that happened, incident happened in the school, your child was involved, call 911. This way the principal is forced to report it. Some principal will make a decision, but really it's not their decision, it's someone else's child. If something happens, you got to report it, but they're under tremendous pressure not to report any crimes. This whole idea, I also heard, I know a level 2, he said that basically they want the school agents to be like guidance counselors, like instead of arresting them, talk them out of it or whatever. The school safety agents are there to observe and make sure no crimes occur. They're not there to tell kids to go to class. They're not there to arrest. They're here to make sure kids are safe. They're also not trained to be guidance counselors. Number one. Number two, guidance counselors don't have a pill of do not fight, go to class, don't be rude, don't be disgusting. They don't have a pill. They do the best they can, but that's not the way to go. Societies have prisons for a reason. Society have police officers for a reason. Societies have school agents for a reason. Just because these politicians want to lower crime, that doesn't mean that our children should be put in danger. That's it. Thank you. By the way, I would encourage, I don't know if you could, I know this is being recorded, but I'm always politically incorrect anyway. I don't know if you could urge the parents to tell them to call 911 if an incident occurred in their school. Because if you put the word out there, they're going to be afraid.
Okay, we'll put the word out there.
I'm also running for a district, CEC for District 25 and 26. If I win one of the seats, I'm going to be on your side pushing, because I know so I'm sorry. My former principal didn't want to pay for the water for the school, agents, right? So I told the level 2, say, do me a favor, just give me the bill, I'll pay. That's how much I love them, because you cannot do your job without them. Who are they kidding? Inside and outside the building. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Irene Estrada. Irene, you are on mute. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We're trying to keep everyone to not more than 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, because we have quite a few speakers.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Irene Estrada, and I'm running for City Council 13 in the Bronx. I am a parent to 2 daughters who are in NYPD. I was in PTA since 1982, from Title I to the CECs to SLTs. And I was a former parent coordinator for PS 19 in Woodlawn, Lehman High School, and MS 135 on Wallace Avenue. As a going into City Council, one of the main issues that I'm running is the defunding of police. We have to protect our public safety, our children come first. We have to protect our communities and our residents. I am running against progressives. We all are running against progressives. Many people like them, and they'll say they're going to vote for them, not knowing that they stand for the defunding of police, and not knowing that they're going to take away the umbrella of NYPD with the school safety agents. One thing I want to share with you is the progressive movement is like COVID. It has no respect of persons. It has no respect for the rich or the poor. It has no respect for the child. It has no respect for our communities. And we have to understand that this is a movement that has a cause that's going to have a great effect. And we all have to be accountable to get out the word, to make sure that they have a list of candidates in every district that they are going to support and protect the school safety officers under the umbrella of NYPD. I have met with community activists, I have met with clergy, I have met with everybody in my district to assure them this cannot happen. This is not something that we can turn around in 2 years and change it. We cannot afford it because the time is very effective. And one thing I can tell you for sure, that we are in our moment. We are in our very moment. We are in dangerous times and dangerous crisis. It's about protecting our children, the future for tomorrow. And I will share something with you. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I was campaigning in the Powell Bay area, I had a call from the Citizens app. They told me that there was a stabbing by one of the schools. Believe it was PS 14. When I called the 46th precinct, I went to the 45th precinct and I called Mona. I said, look, there was a stabbing and it was right on the side of the school. During school dismissal time, the perp ran into the yard of the school. This is unacceptable. And the school, there was no children right now because of COVID. But can you imagine if this was an active school that we had a proper dismissal, where would this perp be? And the children would be in danger, including the staff. We need to make sure that the people understand that we live in dangerous times, and it is more of us than of them. There are more of us than of them. We need to get out the vote. We need to call them out for what it is. And I will share something else with you right now. It is not only our moment, it is our right. Parents need to be informed and they must vote each candidate according to what they stand for. Without you being the voice, without us being in Zoom, without giving them literature, without making phone calls, without knocking on doors, this is the only way you've got to get done. We need an army of people between now and early voting starts June the 12th. We need to have a list of people who support the NYPD over the school safety agents to protect the vote. This is about our children. It's about us. It is about the workers who protect the children. And we need to go ahead and start that. It's about, we have to fight the good fight, but be more knowledgeable and use more wisdom, because God is a God that fights with us in righteousness. We're fighting for our kids, and that's righteousness. We're not letting the perps in the school. Social workers are not going to fight. As a parent coordinator, let me tell you something. There's only so much you can mediate before you got to call 911. And the last thing I will share with you, it is sad that it is true you're going to have a shortage of school safety agents, because that's what they want to push you out to bring all those social workers in. And then they're going to be limited to what they can do, only because they don't have their hands tied. They can't touch a child. They can't deal with the parents. I mean, I'm a parent coordinator for years, and I can see the things that they have done. But I will tell you right now, because of Mona and because of you and being champions for the children, we can be champions together. And June the 22nd, vote out Mr. Williams. We said goodbye to him. We proclaim it in the name of Jesus. We're going to pray him out. We're going to pray every person that is against the will of God for our children. And we're going to worship the Lord, and we're going to glorify his name, because guess what? There is power in prayer. There is power in movement. There's power because we're the vessels of God. We need to arm ourselves every single day with what the Lord has given us. And let me tell you something, be equipped, ladies, because let me tell you something. If you're a prayer warrior and intercessor, God's hand is not too short for nothing. They're messing with the wrong people, because when we pray, God listens to us. When we pray, God moves on our behalf. And when we pray, the Lord messes up their plans. The Bible says that what was meant for harm to us is going to glorify his name. It's going to protect our children and protect our city. We must join forces today and know that it is done in the name of Jesus. So rejoice, be joyful, and be glad. And let's get to what it is, because primary is June the 12th, and we've got to tell everyone who to vote for, who's going to support the school safety agents, because I'm one of the candidates in my district, and I refuse to let anyone, I will refuse to surrender my district to a progressive. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to have to fight of their lives, because guess what? As a prayer warrior, I know that God is going to go ahead and shift and move mountains. Thank you, Miss Mona. And God bless all of you guys, and thank you. Be encouraged. We're going to win it.
Thank you, Irene.
Thank you.
Thank you. Queenie, I see your hand is up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Oh, am I gone?
Yeah, you on.
All right, good. Well, I'm a parent. I was a member of CSC 15 for 3 years. I was also a member of school leadership team for a year. I was a motivator in my public school, and so on at public school. There were public school safety agents in the school, but not in the backyard when my son was voting, and the school did not want to take any responsibility. I ended up with a lawyer to save my son and get him out of that school into a better school. What I'm trying to say is, if there are public school, NYD public school safety agents in the school, and the children were not even saved, then imagine what will happen to our children when DOE hire their own security guards, that they could be colluded and cover up the incidents, not to report their boss. Their boss happened to be DOE. You don't report your boss and lose a job. So what I'm trying to say is, we need NYPD public school agents who are under supervision of NYPD, but not DOE and not the school principals. Otherwise, they will not report incidents because for fear of retaliation, for losing their jobs, and for fear of peer pressures. So how much safety will our children have if the school safety agents who are under DOE and supervised by the school principals, then what kind of safety our children will have inside public schools? And then parents cannot speak up anything about it because the parents never saw anything. And even your own children are too afraid to speak up due to peer pressure, repercussion, retaliation inside the schools. Then what we parents can do. And I heard many of you fully support having NYPD public school safety agents, but can they really enforce their jobs without any fear of retaliations? And how well they can be trained? And how can you stop DOE from letting go of NYPD public school safety agents? And how can you enforce and get DOE not to do what they want to do now and keep the NYPD public school safety agents back in the schools? We talk about so many things, we complain about so many things, but we are not taking any actions. So I think what we need to do is making plans, action plans to get the results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Queenie. And you're absolutely right about that. We also have another hand up, Miona Z. The floor is yours. And then let's see if she's.
Yes,
Oh.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the mother of 3 boys who attending the public school. So I also like SLT of like some of the high school. So we had like a WeChat, which it is like a Facebook. So a lot of Chinese parents join our WeChat, and usually we just talk about how the student doing in school, another thing, blah, blah, blah. But now it seems like funny is the issue come to us, come to our attention is like how the kid can save to go to the school. So now a lot of parents, they had the idea, or maybe the parents can doing the carpool, each parent do it like a Monday to Friday. And also like they talking about taking the private bus, and maybe they ask, see whether the kid has the classmate or the schoolmate close to them, they can go together. But now the funny thing is like, why we change the topic? Before we always worry about how the kid doing in school, whether they doing good in the schoolwork. But now it's totally changed. Like we need to focus on whether the kid able to save to go to school and go home. That is very, very funny because like we never had like an issue with that. Before, we always thinking about like how the kid doing in school. But now it seems like the kid go out our house, it become very dangerous. So I think the school, the mayor and the DOE and whoever they had to take care of the issue. We cannot just let our kids to stay in like that dangerous situation, because they should be like focused on in the schoolwork, in the study. They should not worry about the safety, because the kid go to school is for study. It's not like they go to the army, you know. That is very, very funny for me, and that is very sadly. So we need a NYPD and the school safety agency to keep our community, our kids safe. The kids, they don't need to worry about they are safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right about that. I also see we are joined by Donghui Zhang. I see your hand up.
Hi, Mona. Yeah, hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry I could only join now because I had another candidates forum, which is still going on, but I finished my part. So I'm honored to be here, you know, to say a few words about my view on the school safety agent. So I strongly believe the school safety agents should be operated under NYPD, not transferred to DOE. The NYPD staff is, even they are not armed, but you know, the symbol will keep money personnel who might be thinking, who might be planning to do something harmful to our children. So because of those agents under NYPD there, so they keep them away in the first place. So if we remove them to DOE, so I don't think I'm really worried about that they can have the same effect, you know, to keep the money crimes off campus. So and on the other hand, so I heard a lot of saying that the NYPD school safety engines and also the school safety environment, like the metal detector, so they make the students feel to be like in the jail. So I mean, I don't know where could that from, because I asked my surrounding parents and children, so nobody felt that way. So the school safety agents, so they're mostly women, they are mostly minority, so they are like a part of the family. So they see the children every day. So they not only help the school safety, but they help to connect, they help to smooth a lot of things. So the children, they are the first people that the children see every day. So actually, you know, I think actually in the opposite, so those school safety environments, they are put in campus, they are put in schools, is to protect our children. It's not to discriminate anyone at all. So if they say, oh, some schools will have higher those security environments facility, so that's purely because that school, maybe because of the past incidents, so it had more incidents. So they were put there, you know, to address those issues, to protect those children in those schools. Just to the opposite of some people say, oh, they were put there to discriminate people. So I think, so I mean, I'm a Queen's parent, so, and actually I'm the only parent in my district, you know, who have public school children in my race, District 29, Forest Rigo Park, Kew Garden. So I know what the parents worry about, and I know that what the parents care about. So I know that some candidates in my district, they sent a petition to ask to remove the school safety environment from the school. So I know at least 2 candidates in my district sent that. I'm not going to stand that. And I would say, they don't even have children, or they don't have children at all in the public school system. So they don't know. I know. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mona.
Thank you. Our next speaker, and then we're going to start with closing comments from our 4 main speakers. Our next speaker is Maria Fonseca Perez. Maria, the floor is yours. If you can unmute yourself. Maria? Okay, I think Maria, okay, perhaps she stepped away, but she's still here. So it is,
Hi.
oh, hi.
Technical difficulties.
It's okay. The floor is yours.
Hi. I happen to be a school safety supervisor. I've been on the job for 15 years. And I work in Brooklyn South, and I've seen many, many children over the course of 15 years. And I'll tell you personally, we're not here to hurt anyone. My job here is to help, and we do it on a daily basis. I also was involved in that canvassing on Tuesday looking for a 10-year-old child. We went door to door, store to store with photos. This is what we do. These are our children. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter where they come from. And it upsets me to hear them talk so badly about us. Walk a mile in our shoes. Let us know how you feel. The parents that are out there that appreciate us, I give them my full support because we have theirs. The children that look up to us, they're my kids too. They're my kids too. Give us a chance. Give us a chance to make this right. I don't care about politics. I care about the children. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. That's all I have to say. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to say my piece.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I say something real quick? Fonseca Perez is one of my supervisors from my borough, and on the school safety pages, I always give her a shout out because I respect her gangster, because she goes against the grain and she will speak up and she will speak out on behalf of herself as well as all of us. So to you, Ms. Fonseca Perez, and also to SSS Gamble, who's not on here, I love you ladies because you are in full support and you guys come to every rally and you never stop fighting for all of us. So I want to say to you, I appreciate you wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. Thank you. And I thank you because you paved the way for me.
I'm out here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I see just one last person, Brendan.
Oh, man.
Is Brendan on here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. The floor is yours.
Okay.
You're a speaker.
Okay. So my name is Brandon. I am a graduate from a specialized high school, and I also son of one of the speakers spoke. We name it Queenie, so mother and son speaking. All right. So I'm gonna talk more about the personal experience that my mother briefly talked about on my bullying in my elementary school. So during one day in my elementary school, I was doing it about my business and during lunch, and then for some reason, some guy specifically targeted me 3 times in the same day, pulling my pants down. It was so annoying because I know him. Why is he targeting me? I was just minding my own business. When he pulled my pants the 3rd time, I had enough. I tried to push him back, but then he pushed me down, and then I started crying very loud. And there was no one there to help me, to pick myself back up, to comfort me. It was just the worst day of my life. So that's why I wanted to have safety agents, because they will help. Yeah, if there was a safety agent at the time, they would help me, supported me, and like protected me. And for counselor, yeah, like what would the counselor do? They answer to the school. Like the school would probably cover the incident up and like try to keep their reputation like pristine as possible. Well, the safety agent report to the police, where where my mother like get a lawyer to get me out of that school, which I thank her for that. So again, in conclusion, I say safety agents are really important for the public school and like keeping the school in check and keeping the students safe. That's what I had to say.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if he is going to say anything, but I see our fellow public school parent, Michael Benjamin on here. Michael, can we call you out? I don't know if he stepped away. Michael Benjamin. He must have stepped away because one thing Michael isn't is shy. So that being said, we are going to do our closing remarks. And we'll start off with sorry, Jessica, I see your hand is up.
Oh, yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Wallace. I'm retired supervisor. I was school safety for 35 years. And those of you who do know me, I miss you. And I'm here because you'll always be in my heart. And I am so grateful that you guys are doing this. I'm going to help fight with you and for you because I'm one of the people who started, you could say, school safety. I was here when we were DOE. I was here through the merge, the hostile takeover. A lot of the agents know me because I've done everything in the department, everything. I retired commanding officer of the ceremonial unit. I've done special services. I'm one of the people who started scanning. And to those of you who are parents and administrators, we collaborate with you. We don't just come in and take over. It's a big collaboration. As a supervisor, there were many things that we had to do to sit down with administration of not just the school. Mark Rampant, I know very well because I used to be his supervisor. So I've done a lot of things. But what I want to say to you is this. If we have to fight, you got to fight hard because, like you said, the only way we're going to get results is to fight. Like you said before, and someone said, there's a reason why we left DOE and came to NYPD. Incidents were hidden. So I could stay here until next year and run down the list of things that happened under DOE. We are a much better organization under the NYPD. Never mind to say that no one is saying the agents will lose a lot if they go back to DOE. I am personally still fighting with NYCERS because of pension issues. Never mind, still under NYPD, what issues you're going to have if you go back to DOE. That's another thing. No one's laying out what your responsibilities will be, what your pension will be, what your life will be. And we all know what the situation with the kids will be. And it is political, but policies are written on paper. And the people who are making these policies are sitting in offices and not in the field getting their hands dirty. And those of you who know me know that I get my hands dirty. I would not tell you to do something that I personally would not do. Personally, okay? I have gotten down with agents. As a supervisor, I have been in elementary schools. I rose through the ranks. I didn't just become a supervisor. I was an elementary school agent. I was a high school agent. I was a group leader. I got promoted civil service to supervisor. I have been a supervisor since 1998. There is a lot of things that we do. I can tell you that me personally, I have gone in my pocket. I know hundreds of agents who have gone in their pockets to make sure that kids eat, that kids have clothes to wear. There have been many times that I have broken up fights between students who were being teased and bullied because they didn't have food and the kids were teasing them. They didn't have shoes. I have bought shoes and clothes for kids because I didn't want them to get beat up because they were teased. There are so many agents out here and so many stories that we could tell. No, the prison, the pipeline is not school safety. There are so many things that we have done and continue to do, even ostracized to this day. The things that these agents that I have seen do during COVID, everything that NYPD does not want to do, they give to school safety. We got to be out there doing. Never mind the assignments that you guys have to do that you will no longer be able to do because you're not NYPD. What about the Big Apple games? What about the garden games? What about the things that we do when we go down in train stations, to parks, to a whole host of things? And guys, I feel bad because when these schools open, oh my God, my heart is pouring out for y'all because I know what's going to happen with everything that's been going on these streets. Everything comes back to the schools, everything. And that's what people don't understand.
Hallelujah.
Everything that happens with all of this gun violence, with everything that you see that's going on in this world, it's all going to come back to the school. And who's going to be there to deal with it? Not a guidance counselor, not a principal. And I will tell you, I know a lot of principals, and they and their teachers will not be at work because they will not come to work if they don't see school safety there. They can say what they want and do what they want, but when those schools open and all hell breaks loose, like you said, they're gonna hide, they're gonna hide. That's what they're gonna do. And whose responsibility is it gonna be? And who's it gonna fall back on? Because as we all know, school safety is the scapegoat. We were the scapegoat for us to leave DOE and come to NYPD, and we're the scapegoats that's gonna put us back to DOE. And nobody wants to stand up and speak on that. So whose politics and who's gonna answer when these kids die on the street because of these politics? Who's gonna answer? Never mind how we get hurt and we come to work hurt. Never mind that. But I want everybody to think on this day that Jessica Wallace said the biggest mistake that anybody, Jumaane Williams, Eric Adams, whoever is against school safety, whoever makes that choice is going to pay, because there's going to be blood on your hands. And that's all I have to say.
Wait, Ms. Wallace, before you go, don't hang up, Ms. Wallace. Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Respect to you, ma'am, for leading the way and paving the way. I am so honored to even have you get on here. I thank you for your presence. And what I wanted you to do is what I have not been able to do, but from a veteran, I mean, a true vet like you, can you please appeal to our co-workers and tell them that they need to join up and get in this fight because they somehow feel that they are not needed and that they are. And I've been trying to stress to them what they will be losing if we go back to the DOE. Not only what they will be losing, but they will be also losing their jobs because they're going to get rid of us.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Thank you.
Exactly. This is what I mean about the pension fight and all the other fights. All those benefits that you have, you're going to lose. When you lose your peace officer powers, all of that is off the table. Everything is off the table.
Thank God for you tonight.
You're going to be
Hallelujah.
a pure security guard. And that's what we fought to get rid of when we left DOE. Don't go back there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's such an important point because nobody wants to address that. Our school safety agents are public servants. So how exactly is that going to work? And for those of us who have dealt with the Department of Education, those of us who, you know, are parent leaders who have sat on so many different bodies, from school leadership teams to Title I to CECs. One thing that we do know is that the DOE loves to privatize and give contracts to their friends.
And we will be clipped.
That's it's, you know, as the plan. The plan is to bring you on board to the Department of Education. Then they're going to say that what we all know, they do not have the capacity to supervise and train, but you're also going to lose your civil servant status because no one is a civil servant in the Department of Education. That's not the title. And then on top of that, you will be privatized, and we'll see one of those contracts come up, and they're going to contract it and outsource it to somebody else. And you're going to lose.
Brings tears to my eyes. This whole thing just brings tears to my eyes.
We see what's going to happen, but you know, this is the thing. They are playing with our children's lives. And the other important point, Ms. Wallace, that you made, what is happening on the streets, whether it's attacking our Asian community members in the street, that's gonna, sooner or later, that's gonna come to the schools if it hasn't already.
It'll be there the first day the school opens.
It's going to, yes. And
no, actually, it's bypassed that, because last week I had a student who slapped a teacher in the face and was choking the living daylights out of her, and I had to get him off of her. Yeah, so it's already coming back. And this is a 7th grade student, 7th grade.
So we see that, and we also know the gun violence, what's happening right now in our communities. I mean, we already have young children being shot right now, whether it's the Bronx, Brooklyn. This is real. This is what's happening. Harlem. I mean, we have babies being shot.
Yes. And let's call a spade a spade. This is one thing that's on my head. Yes, children are precious. But when they leave your house and they come to school, they are another person. Okay? The people who you see in your house as parents are not the people who come into these schools. Okay? So there's metal detection for a reason. But the people want to go around and they want to say, oh, you know, NYPD, they criminalizing the kids. I don't want a prison school. Okay, but you have weapons in your school. And there's no denying it. Okay? They've already gone and made steps to take the metal detectors out. They can make believe those weapons are not in that school. And we got some good kids. But as soon as something happens, those weapons are going to come out. And somebody's going to get hurt. Okay? So yeah. I'm sorry, you there?
Yes, we are. There's a
Yeah,
question.
I had to move around because my phone, I have to go back to my phone was dying. But don't get it twisted.
Mhm.
Kids are precious, but they are not blameless. They are not blameless. And we need to keep things in place to deal with these children. We talk to them. We do the talking. There's so much that we do to prevent stuff from happening. But in the end, stuff is going to happen. And stuff needs to be in place. It must be in place. And don't disillusion yourself into thinking that these social workers are going to come in and they're going to confiscate all these weapons. Yeah, they're going to get them and they're going to hide them in the desk. That's what we find. Okay?
Mhm.
Unless somebody gets hurt with it, there are going to be a
We'll
lot of
never
kids
know.
in school with weapons, but we'll never know about them because the principals will hide them. And that's what they were doing under DOE. They would make deals with the kids, take the weapons from them, and at the end of the year, then they would come to us, the supervisor, and say, what do I do with these weapons? Okay? So there's going to be incidents where you're going to need NYPD. And so you want to take NYPD out of the building, but you're going to have them in the building more than you have now if you take agents out, because every time something happens, the principals are going to call NYPD. And guess what? You're not going to get the help because they're going to be on sectors in the street, and it's going to take them a long time to come. By the time they come, your building will be in ruins. So somebody needs to seriously sit down and think about what they're putting on paper, because a lot of times what you write on paper does not work in the field. And like you said earlier, these people need to come to these schools, walk the halls, see what these schools are like before you judge us. Come and see the halls that and the walk that we make every day, the beat that we do every day.
Yes, Miss Wallace, and Mona is a witness, and Marvella is a couple other people that I offered our public advocate to come to spend a week with me in my precinct 8, and he refused.
He refused? He don't want to die. He's scared.
No, he doesn't want to
People are
admit.
scared.
He doesn't want to admit that he's wrong, and he knows that he can't bring his NYPD detail along with him, so he doesn't want to come.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah, and that that's a very important point, because this is the thing. They're complaining about metal detectors.
Yeah.
At some schools, but you know what? To get into the Department of Education, to get into Tweed,
you have to get metal detector.
If you if you want to go to City Hall,
you have to get metal detectors.
And Davis, who got shot at City Hall years ago, you have to go through a metal detector. If you want to go to Jamani's office there at the municipal building, you have to go through a metal detector.
Yeah.
Okay? So this thing with the metal detectors that, that everybody is talking about, you know what? I'm a mother. I want my child safe. I don't care whether or not his school has metal detectors. But what I do know is that if his school does have metal detectors, it's there for a reason.
But Mona, not even that. Miss Wallace will be able to tell you, because she implemented it and she worked on it. The metal detectors are put into place because there's a need for it due to the statistics of the building, or if a principal requests to have it.
Exactly.
So
and
why are they trying to fix a system that's not broken?
Ms. Simpkins, just 1 second. Let me just share this with you.
Go ahead, dear.
While we on the road of principals and metal detectors. Okay. Back then, when I was when we first started metal detection, I was in charge of Andrew Jackson High School metal detection. Yes. Okay. But on this one particular day, I had to leave Andrew Jackson ASAP to get to Thomas Jefferson, where a kid had gotten shot in his head on the 2nd floor and in a metal detection school, because the principal was having company and dignitaries that day and canceled scanning.
Including the mayor, because Mayor Dink is who put it in the school.
You remember that?
Yes, 1992. Okay. I was a student. I remember this.
So you know I know. So
and the same day he came is the same day that this incident happened, because it was 2 kids that got shot, but the one that got shot in the head died.
That's right. On the second floor by the auditorium. When I responded from Andrew Jackson, Queens, to Thomas Jefferson, when I got there, his brains was all over the wall on the second floor, because this principal was too good to have her dignitaries go through scanning. So these are the links that DOE will go through to hide stuff.
No,
God help y'all if you let it happen.
We definitely see the lens they go to hide stuff, because just for education, they're going through the lens of attacking Asian students and specialized high schools to hide the fact that supermajority of Black and Hispanic students are nowhere near grade level. So we understand how they, their diversionary tactics. Michael Benjamin, if you could please go ahead and speak and unmute. The floor is yours. And then after Michael, we're going to do closing our comments.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. I appreciate you.
Michael? Michael?
Am I muted now?
Yeah, you unmuted. If you could just speak a bit louder, please.
Okay, I will do that. I just want to say good evening. I'm sorry I was late to this event. I come to you with a couple of different hats. I have a cousin who's been a school safety agent for at least 2 decades. She's getting ready to retire, so I know how important her job is and what it means to her, what it means to the students who she has helped to protect all these many years. I'm a very good friend of Greg Floyd, the union president, who's been fighting the city and Jamani Williams on this effort. And I'm also editorial board writer for the New York Post. And we've been very much in support of maintaining the school safety agents as members of the NYPD and keeping them as a presence that's needed in schools that need them. Many of the people who've been critics of school safety and want to get rid of the NYPD, get rid of any kind of connotation involved in NYPD, have no idea what's happening in our schools, in our neighborhoods. They are sort of operating from 50,000 feet. They have these idealistic ways of looking at the world and not looking at a proper lens as to what's real. School safety agents are there to maintain order and to make it possible for students who want to learn to learn. Mm-hmm. And I know from my own experience as a member of the state assembly and as a community resident, seeing school safety agents walking the neighborhood to make sure kids get to school safely and come home from school safely. A lot of incidents take place in the surrounding blocks of many schools. And because school safety is able to go out there and to create a corridor that makes it safe for children, it's a good service. It's something that's important, and a social worker will not be doing in their place. It's going to be, I think, an important fight, and every school safety agent is invested in this. So he or she has to be involved, has to contact their local elected officials. They've got to get active in electing people to the city council who represent their interests and keep pressing them. And every time that the mayor's on the Jim Lehrer show, the Lehrer show, or any kind of public show where you can call in, you have to call in and make your voices heard so the public understands where you're coming from, and not to let him control the narrative, because that's what he's been doing. And it happen. You have to be on his case all the time. And what bothers me too is that these so-called liberals, progressives, attacking mostly Black women, minority women and men who are doing something for their community. I mean, you have a candidate for mayor, John Donovan, talking about the need to have role models as teachers who look like the students. Well, what about the fact that the school safety agents look very much more like the students that attend many of these public schools and are actual good role models for many students, and been able to maintain order and to keep the outside world from coming in and preventing many more of our children from in their classes. So, as like I said, as a former elected official, as a parent of a kindergartner and a soon to be a 3K student, I'm here in support of you, and I know my colleagues on the New York Post editorial board will be pumping out editorials in support of maintaining school safety as a key component of the NYPD, and not to be covered by the DOE. One thing I almost forgot, you know, the DOE now is going to be able to, I believe next year or so, they're going to be running bus service. They can barely
really?
children. Now they want to do
They don't even
really
background checks.
and now that they also want to go back to trying to you know, manage school safety, something that we know they screwed up greatly 25, 30 years ago. We can't let that happen. And you know, we need to be in this together. And like I said, whenever the mayor's on TV, he's on the radio, school safety agents have to call in and let the rest of New York understand what the issue is and keep his feet to the fire. And then whoever succeeds him on January 1st, keep his or her feet to the fire as well.
That sounds good. Fight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fight.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for all of your support, not just on the school safety issue, but also when it comes to educational issues such as specialized high schools, gifted and talented, and, you know, for calling out the Department of Education for many years for their low expectations of our children. So we, you know, we covered quite a bit, but I just want to circle back to public safety. What's happening right now in our communities is going to end up happening in our schools. Come September, we are going to be in trouble. The numbers of people shot every day, especially over the weekends, including children, are going up. Our communities are completely under siege. What's happening right now also with, you know, within our Asian community, the anti-Asian hate crimes, you know, what we need to understand is that it's not going to just stop there. It's going to happen to other groups, and that's why we need to stand together and we need to stand united when it comes to this. And you know, I just want to just put 3 facts out there that people need to understand and address what is just outright lies. Fact number 1, school safety agents are not police. School safety agents are civilians. Fact number 1. Fact number 2, school safety agents are not responsible for the school to prison pipeline. The Department of Education is. Okay? Fact number 3, keeping our school safety agents under the purview of the NYPD is in the best interest of our children.
Mm-hmm.
Children cannot learn in an unsafe environment. With that said, our speakers, Phil Wong, then Marvella Glenn, then Quyan Simpkins, and then Sadio Barry, if you could please give us your closing remarks, and then we'll close out our town hall.
Thank you, Mona. I appreciate all your time for putting this together. I've done this. It's just not easy. So thank you, Mona. And thank you for all the parents that signed on tonight. It's like getting late, so and there's still like 50 people signed on. But anyway, to my message is really simple to all the parents. If you have not done so already, pick up the phone and at least call 3 people. 1, Speaker Corey Johnson. His number is posted on the WeChat window, or just look it up, Corey Johnson, and tell his office one line: we ask to keep school safety agents in the NYPD, keep them in schools. The second person to call is Mark Traeger, the chairman of the Education Committee of the City Council. Again, his number is posted in chat window. Same message. You support, please have him support keeping school safety agents and NYPD. And finally, your local councilman, whether it's Margaret Chin or Daniel Jung or whoever that may be, I don't know. You look it up, right? Just tell them the same message. Make these 3 phone calls. It will take less than 2 minutes, and that will change. That will change how they think. They think they could get away with this by not telling the parents. They think they could scam the parents into thinking that the schools will be the same when September comes. It's just not true. So I beg all the parents, please make these 3 phone calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Marvella?
I want to thank everyone on the panel for the compliments and trusting us with your kids and supporting us. And I also want school safety, especially all the peeping toms, the ones that's afraid to lift their voice. Now that we have the platform, it's enough of us to unite and strengthen our voice. We are in this together. Your boss, a white shirt, no one can save you. So stop hiding behind your voice, lift your voice, and let's stand together. We got each other. And what you can do, stop being afraid, get on Facebook and join We About It. This way we can educate each other on what's going on. Because really, when Sam said it must be raining, I took that personal, but I'm not angry with you. School safety need to be aware. They are making a mockery of us. And the reason he said it's raining because school safety never lift their voice. Never.
That's
and for
right.
those of you that's wondering why I'm so passionate about this, because I do as I say, I sincerely love the kids. Sincerely. And for the people who ask me, why am I here? Because I love the kids. I know my value, but I love the kids. And it's a lot of agents that are passionate with these kids. So step up, agents. Lift your voice. It's okay. Don't be scared. Never, ever be a sitting duck. Don't wait for DOE or your boss to tell you what to do. You're the dictator. Come along. Join the site that's strategically informative and get on. We Are About It. And let's put our own plan together. We can outthink them. We can outbeat them. It's just a handful of them. Drink your milk. Toughen up. Come aboard. Good night.
Ryan?
Same thing Marvella said. I'm like, I thank everybody on the panel. I thank everybody for, your kind thoughts and for your praise, but we don't really want the praise. We want you to be in support. Thank you for everybody who's working together collectively on this. I want to say one more time to SSS Fonseca Perez, thank you. But to Miss Wallace, the legendary Miss Wallace, there's no words. What you said and what you said here tonight, like I said, I had to pull out the big doors because for some reason our coworkers and colleagues do not understand how important this is and how imperative it is that they get involved in this fight. And I also wanted to say, call your local council person because this is political. We're going to have to fight this politically and we're going to have to be boisterous and have our voices heard. So call your council person because guess what? It's a political election year. They want your vote. Let them know I'm withholding my vote from you until you listen to what I got to say. That's one. Parents. We got all the power, but we're not utilizing it. 311 is the city's reporting tool. We can all get on that 311 and say, listen, there's a situation going on. School safety cannot be changed over to the Department of Education because I want my children safe and I want them safe under the NYPD. Do you know where those calls will go? Because the mayor has full control of the school. It will go straight to 311 to the mayor's office because that's where it's going to go. And when those calls go through, they get recorded and there's a number behind it. Or you can email the mayor's office. You're going to need to flood these people out to let them know that we're aware. Corey Johnson is now running for city controller. He wants to control our money. Guess what? If we start calling him enough, he'll start to understand what's happening because it's opposition. So I want to thank Mona for all that she does and all the hard work and dedication that she put into it. My friend over there, I thank you, Mona. To Sam, to everybody who's on here, but especially to the school safety, my brothers and sisters. We're going to have to get this together, guys. We are going to have to. It is the only way. And this is the last rally coming up. It's June 6th, this Sunday at 2 p.m. steps of Brooklyn Borough Hall. But as Mona will tell you, it is not the last thing that will be going on. But as far as the rallies for right now, that will be the last one. And I expect to see a lot of people to come out because this is about all of us. I don't care if you're a blue shirt, a white shirt. I don't care what you are. An eagle, 5 bars, 10 stars. find your way to the Brooklyn rally, because it is imperative that we show a force to let them know that we're fighting. Just like they're fighting and they got their little cronies and their little groups, we're fighting. And that's all I have to say. The fight is on. It will continue.
Thank you, Diane. And our final speaker to close it out is a parent, Sadio Barry, who in his opening remarks called it out and said what we all agree about now is that this is political. Sadio, are you still on?
Yes, I'm on, Muna.
Okay, if you could give us your closing remarks.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. What I want to say first is 2 hours and a half. We are listening quality people, quality debate, people who are very engaged, who are very committed for their children, for their future. That's very, very, very important. As a leader first, what I want to say is in Harlem, where we live, we have a big organization. We working very closely with NYPD, because in our neighborhood, we see the children, they get together in some specific area, trying to do bad things, but we try to mobilize them, we try to educate them, we try to be in contact with their parents to know first why they hang out here, what they're doing here. That's a very job that the NYPD appreciated in the community. So when it comes to the school safety agent, like I always say, we are not compromised on that, because someone who committed, someone who sacrificed for years, for decades, to protect your children, to protect our children, I think we don't have nothing to pay them. It's a very, very, very big sacrifice they're doing in our community. So we need to fight. We need to get together to support, to keep those school safety agents in the school. It's nothing to compromise. We don't have to let the politician, because they're running for position, do what they want to do, like to put us in the difficult situation. I don't understand how they're gonna think to take this job from NYPD to DOE. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make at all. So that's the thing, we need to focus on that. So when it comes to public safety, we also see our children is involved on that for the gun violence. Whenever somebody has been shot, if you're looking at the story, it's a children who pass away. It's not a man, it's not a woman, it's like children for 7 years, 5 years, 6 years. And most of the cases, we figured out that those schools, they don't have any school safety agent. It's a charter school. That's why, as a parents, as a community leaders, I think we need to work very, very, very closely to fight against those politicians who only thinking about their position, not about their children. That's why, for me, I always say we don't compromise to let the school safety agent losing their job. They have a decent job. They're working very hard. They are responsible. They are mothers. They are fathers. They're working very hard in the neighborhood. Let's say back to 2018, what they do. A very, very, very excellent job. Taking close to 3,000 guns from those children who want to kill our children, want to kill each other. Only this could help us to open our eyes and support them very, very, very deeply. Mona, I think that's all I have to say. Again, thanks everybody to join this forum. It's very, very, very educative. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you to all our speakers, our parents, our school safety agents. Please know that we love you, that we appreciate you. We got your back, you know, and we see, you know, we see what they're trying to do. And for our parents, let other parents know the Department of Education is not going to let you know what they're trying to do. So we need to inform and educate our parents, our neighbors, and especially our community-based organizations in, you know, where we live. So with that being said, again, thank you so very much, everyone, for joining us this evening for this really important town hall. It's time we take back our city. We want this public safety crisis addressed. We want our children safe. And, you know, the only thing I can say is that come June 22nd, folks, come out and vote for people who support school safety agents, vote for people who support educational excellence, vote for people who will support our communities. That's the best thing that I can tell you, that I can ask and advise you to do. But again, our school safety agents, thank you, Quayan, Marvella, Ms. Wallace, all of our school safety agents who are watching. For those school safety agents that still haven't come out to a rally, I'm gonna call you out, okay? Listen, it is your job. And if any of you think that you're gonna be okay under the DOE, you have another thing coming. You should know better, because you will lose your civil servant status.
Everything.
You're gonna lose your pension. You'll need to wake up. It is not okay. We parents, we can fight for you. We can stand with you, but we can't help you if you won't even help yourself. So with that said, I hope to see you all June 6th, the steps of Borough Hall. We'll be out there. Come out there. Again, if you ain't gonna help yourself, how can we help you? With that being said, thank you, everyone. God bless, and see you all on Sunday.
Not only is your job on the line, your
Very
plaque is on the
productive.
line. I know how valuable that is to a lot of agents.
Listen, we gotta keep it real. They need to come out.
That plaque is on the line, y'all. And there's a
They
lot
need
of y'all
to
live
come
in
out.
buildings.
It's their livelihoods, and it's our kids' safety. Come out.
Come on out. Okay, we welcome you. Come
I'll be
on, we'll pray for
5
you.
to 5
Good night,
o'clock.
everyone. Thank you, Mona, as always. Thank you, my sister Quayan, all my brothers and sisters from afar. I appreciate you all. I love that you appreciate us. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.